Welcome back. I'm Connie from Let's Go Crafting, and this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make some yarn dolls. These are super fun to make, and as I was making samples for this video, I kind of went overboard because I was having so much fun. So let's step over to the table and let's talk about what we'll need. To make yarn dolls, you're going to need yarn. Any yarn will do. You'll need cardboard. I use cardboard from cereal boxes, boxes that held snacks in them, any kind of box. What you'll need is a piece of cardboard that's 6 inches long, and then it doesn't matter how wide, just wide enough that you can wrap the yarn around it. I'm using some red felt for a mouth, and I have some googly eyes. Traditionally, yarn dolls did not have faces, so when you see these, the traditional kind, they will not have a face. They'll look more like this one or this one. But I was having fun while I was making these, and so I put some faces on them. You'll need regular old glue. Can be this blue gel glue, which is what I have on hand. Can be the white glue. Crazy glue doesn't work on yarn and fabric, so I wouldn't recommend that. You will need your fabric scissors to cut the yarn. Let's get started. Let's start. So we're going to take our ball of yarn and we're just going to undo some of it. We're going to lay our yarn on our cardboard and we're just going to wrap. And we're going to wrap about 40 times. So 40 to 60 times, depending upon how thick you want your doll. As you're wrapping, so that's one wrap, and then two. As you're wrapping, be careful that you're just laying the yarn over the cardboard. If you start to pull, then your cardboard starts to bend like that. And your doll will be much shorter. So try and keep your cardboard flat and then just wrap it. I'll be back after I've wrapped it 40 times. I like the number 40. So I've wrapped the yarn 40 times around my cardboard. My cardboard is still flat. That's pretty good. Now I'm just going to cut the end of the yarn, and I'm just going to cut it even with the end there, like that. Now the first thing I need to do is I need to make a tie up here so that I can tie all my threads together so they don't fall apart once I cut the end here. So I'm just going to take a piece of yarn and cut it. Then you put your fingers underneath the wraps and you put your yarn in and you bring it all the way to the top like that. So now your yarn is coming straight out of the top of the wraps and you just do a knot. So I like to do a square knot, which is right over left. So I'm taking the right tail over the left tail, tucking it into the loop, and then I pull it tight. And then now the tail is in my left hand and I go over the right tail and through the loop and tie it tight like that. Sometimes if I'm nervous, I'll give it one more tie just to make sure that it's not coming out. Now we can just cut these ties off. Okay, so that's what we have. We have our loops, there's a tie at the top. And now we're going to cut down here. So I'm going to take my scissors. I'm going to put them against the cardboard, bring them all the way to the bottom, and cut my yarn. And this is the top of our doll already done. Now we have to make the tie that's going to complete the head part. So we're going to cut a piece of yarn to wrap around all our threads for right here. So I'm going to cut a piece of yarn. I'm going to put it underneath. And I'm just going to eyeball what I think will make a nice head. I don't want to make it too big because I also have to make sure I have a body and arms and legs. Now I'm going to do the same square knot that I did at the top. Now see how I have a nice head? You just tie a tight knot like that. Trim off your ends, and our head is already done. Now's the time you're going to decide. Do you want to just have arms like this, or do you want braided arms? Either way, we're going to separate out 9 strands of thread from the body. So I come to the side and I just count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 pieces of thread. If I were just going to be doing arms like this, I would take a piece of thread and I would tie a knot right here. And then I would be done with this arm. I'm going to show you how to braid these. So braids consist of 3 equal sides. So in this case I have 9 threads. So I'm going to take 3. Now if you already know how to braid, go right ahead. Have at it. I'm going to take 3, put them out to the right. I'm going to take 3 and bring them to the middle. And 3 and bring them out to the left. I'm going to set our little guys out of the way. Right now is a good time to cut another piece of string that's going to keep your braid together at the end. Here's my tying thread. So to braid, you'll take the rightmost section, bring it over the center section. That makes your right section the middle section. And you bring the middle section to the right. Now I'm going to go over to the left-hand side, bring that over the middle, making the left-hand side now the middle, and the middle is the left-hand side. And now I just go back and forth. The right over the middle, and then the left over the middle. And then you just do that until you get to the end of your yarn, and then you tie. So I'm going to do this, left over the middle, right over the middle, left over the middle, right over the middle, until I get to the end. And it doesn't take all that long. Now remember, this looks super easy for me. Remember, I've been doing these things. I learned how to make a yarn doll when my grandmother was living with us. So I probably wasn't even in kindergarten then. And I have to tell you, that was about 50 years ago. So I've been doing these types of things for 50 years. So if it looks easy for me, it's because I've been doing it a long time. For you, if you're just learning to braid, it's going to be a little bit harder and it's going to take a little bit more time. And that is perfectly fine. And once you've been doing it for 50 years, it'll go just as quickly for you. So I tied my string onto the end. That keeps my braid braided. And I kind of don't like these this long. So I'm going to give them a little trim. And that side is done. So now I have one arm. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come over to this side and count out 9 pieces of thread and braid this side. I'll be back as soon as that's done. All right, so now I've braided both the arms. Now it's time to create our body section. And the way we do that is we just cut another piece of yarn that we're going to tie around the middle section, just like we did with the neck portion. So I'm going to just take a little bit of thread. I'm going to slide it underneath the doll. And you really just eyeball it. So now you're just deciding how big do you want your body and how long do you want the legs or the skirt. Okay? If you've gotten it on this far and you want to adjust it, you can just move it up so you have less body and more legs, or you can move it down. And then you'll tie it tight. So you just make another knot. This one I wasn't paying attention if I was going left over right or right over left. I'm going to give it another knot just to make sure it stays. Okay, so if you are making a doll that has a dress, you are done except for the face if you want to add one. If you're making a doll that has legs, all you would do is separate this in half, roughly, no counting, and then you would put a tie on either end like that, just like we did for the ends of the arms and everywhere else. I'm going to leave this one as a dress. And now we can put the eyes on and we can put the mouth on. I'll be back in just a minute with our googly eyes. All right, so if now you want to put a face on, you can either cut eyes out of felt, you can use buttons. I have a fascination with googly eyes, so I'm going to put googly eyes on. And you just put a little bit of glue on the back, like that. And then you push the eye down. I like these glues because if you get a little bit too much and they kind of squish out the sides, it doesn't matter because they dry clear. And now I think I'm going to put a little mouth on her. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of this red felt that's a leftover from something else. And I'm going to see if I can make a little smiley face. Maybe that's a little too big for her. And we'll give it a little trim. We're going to trim her little smile. And let's see if that works. Yep, I think that works good. So this time I'm just going to put a little dot right in the middle where I want the mouth to go. And I'm going to lay the felt on top of the dot of glue. And I'm going to press down. And there's our little doll. There we go. Have fun. Make as many as you want. You can make a whole family. See you next time.